The reigning order of New Zealand rugby has just been slapped with a cold, hard dose of reality from the most polarizing figure to ever wear the black jersey. Sonny Bill Williams has never been one to bite his tongue, but his latest demand has sent a tremor through the sporting world that makes a stadium-shaking Haka look like a gentle breeze. In a move that has left traditionalists gasping for air and fans divided into warring fact irons, the dual-code legend has publicly called for an immediate and brutal decapitation of the team's leadership. Following the catastrophic fallout of Scott Robertson's departure, Williams isn't just suggesting a minor tactical tweak, he is demanding a total purge of the captaincy to save the soul of the All Blacks. The shock of his statement lies not just in the who, but in the ruthless why behind his reasoning, claiming the current hierarchy is suffocating the very talent it is supposed to inspire. This is no longer a civil debate about rugby strategy, it is an all-out civil war for the identity of the world's most famous team, and Sonny Bill just fired the first shot directly at the heart of the establishment. Subscribe to all sports updates. The atmosphere surrounding the national team has reached a boiling point that few insiders could have predicted even 6 months ago. Sonny Bill Williams argues that the current leadership has become a stagnant pool of old ideas, failing to adapt to the hypermodern, high-velocity game that is currently being dictated by the Northern Hemisphere. He points to the emotional and tactical vacuum left in the wake of Robertson's exit as proof that the existing captains are unable to galvanize a squad in crisis. For Williams, the captaincy shouldn't be a lifetime achievement award or a reward for seniority, it should be a dynamic, living role that evolves with the team's needs. He sees a roster filled with world-class athletes who are playing with handbrakes on because they are shackled to a leadership style that prioritizes safety over the instinctive brilliance that once made New Zealand invincible. The surprise in his delivery wasn't just his bluntness, but his willingness to name specific names that he believes are past their expiration date as leaders. This isn't a critique from a distance, it is a surgical strike from a man who knows exactly what it takes to win at the highest level of professional combat. The storytelling of the All Blacks has always been one of continuity and passing the torch, but Williams believes the torch has burned out and is now merely a piece of charred wood. He recounts his own time in the environment, contrasting the vocal, confrontational leadership of the past with what he perceives as a polite, corporate-friendly approach that dominates the current locker room. By calling for a change, he is essentially advocating for a return to the bad boy era of accountability, where the captain was a warrior first and a spokesperson second. This demand creates a fascinating conflict with the New Zealand Rugby Union, who have spent years cultivating a specific, clean-cut image for their leaders. Williams is tearing down that facade, suggesting that the team needs a disruptor, someone who isn't afraid to ruffle feathers or challenge the status quo to get results. The sheer audacity of his claim has forced every major rugby pundit to take a side, turning the captaincy into the most contested seat in the country. It is a moment of profound realization that the old ways of doing things are no longer sufficient to keep the All Blacks at the top of the mountain. The timing of this outburst is particularly lethal, as the team is currently standing at a crossroads, searching for a new direction after the shocking administrative changes at the top. Williams understands that in the absence of a permanent head coach, the captaincy becomes the only anchor for the players, and if that anchor is dragging, the entire ship is at risk of hitting the rocks. He argues that the psychological weight of the recent sackings has revealed a lack of backbone in the current leadership structure, which failed to protect the squad from the external noise. To Sonny Bill, a real captain would have been the shield that deflected the media firestorm, but instead, he saw a group that looked as lost as the fans. This critique hits home because it speaks to the emotional intelligence required to lead a national icon through a period of unprecedented instability. The surprise for many was how quickly Williams moved from analyzing the coaching situation to targeting the players on the field, proving that no one is safe from his analytical gaze. The debate has now shifted from the boardroom to the pitch, where the real battle for the future will be won or lost. All sports updates. The Sonny Bill effect is currently rippling through every rugby club in the country, sparking conversations about who actually has the manner to lead this team into the 2027 World Cup cycle. Williams hasn't just called for a change, he has hinted at a new breed of leader, someone younger, more representative of the diverse modern game, and someone who plays with a visceral, infectious energy. He believes the current crop of senior players has become too comfortable, losing the edge that defined the era of Richie McCaw or Kieran Reid. This isn't just a personal attack, it's a systemic critique of how leaders are developed and promoted within the New Zealand system. Williams is pushing for a meritocracy where the loudest and most effective voice wins the right to wear the armband, regardless of how many caps they have. This perspective is a radical departure from the traditional wait your turn philosophy that has governed the All Blacks for a century. The tension between the old guard and this new, aggressive vision is what makes this story the most compelling narrative in Southern Hemisphere sports right now, as the foundation of the team begins to crack under the pressure of public scrutiny. What Williams is essentially calling for is a revolution that starts in the heart of the scrum and ends in the boardroom. He argues that the captaincy needs to be stripped back to its rawest form, leadership through action and an uncompromising refusal to accept mediocrity. He highlights the fact that other nations, like Ireland and South Africa, have captains who are the undisputed emotional barometers of their teams, something he feels the All Blacks are currently lacking. When Sonny Bill speaks, the youth listen, and his comments have empowered a younger generation of players to question whether the current path is the right one. This internal questioning is exactly what the establishment fears most, as it threatens the carefully managed hierarchy that has existed for decades. The storytelling here is about the clash between tradition and progress, with Williams acting as the catalyst for a change that many feel is long overdue but few had the courage to voice. His surprise intervention has effectively ended the honeymoon period for several senior players, who now find themselves under a microscope like never before in their professional careers. The fallout from his comments has also forced the hands of the selectors, who now have to consider the public's appetite for a leadership overhaul. If they stick with the status quo, they risk appearing out of touch with the reality on the ground. If they make a change, they admit that Williams was right all along. This lose-lose situation for the administration is exactly where Sonny Bill wants them, as he believes only extreme pressure will lead to the necessary evolution of the brand. He draws parallels between his time in league and boxing, where leadership is earned every single day and can be taken away in a second if you lose your spark. This gladiator mentality is what he wants to see injected back into the All Blacks' DNA. The conversation has moved beyond the technicalities of the game and into the realm of philosophy, questioning what it actually means to lead the most successful team in history. Every press conference and every captain's run will now be judged against the standard that Williams has set, creating a high-stakes environment where every word and gesture is analyzed for signs of weakness or strength. As the search for a new head coach continues, the question of who will lead the team on the field has become equally critical to the team's survival. Sonny Bill's intervention has ensured that the new coach won't just be able to walk in and pick the same old names. They will be forced to address the leadership vacuum head-on. Wilson and other pundits are already starting to echo some of Williams' sentiments, suggesting that a clean slate approach might be the only way to truly move past the Robertson era. The drama is heightened by the fact that several potential captaincy candidates are currently struggling with form or injury, making the choice even more perilous. Williams has successfully framed the debate as a choice between a safe, predictable decline or a risky, explosive rebirth. The surprise for the rugby public is how much influence a retired player still holds over the national narrative, proving that Sonny Bill Williams remains the ultimate disruptor in the world of New Zealand sport. The story is still being written, but the ink is being provided by a man who refuses to follow the script. In the final analysis, the call for a captaincy change is a symptom of a much larger identity crisis within the most famous rugby union on the planet. Sonny Bill Williams has held up a mirror to the All Blacks, and the image reflecting back isn't one of invincibility, but of a team in desperate need of a new heartbeat. Whether the powers that be have the courage to follow his advice and strip the captaincy away from the veterans remains to be seen, but the seed of doubt has been firmly planted. The 2026 season will be defined by how the leadership responds to this public challenge, whether they crumble under the criticism or find a new gear that silences the doubters. Williams has done his job by sparking the fire. Now it's up to the players to decide if they can handle the heat. This saga is a reminder that in the world of elite sport, the only thing more dangerous than losing is standing still. Thank you for following this explosive development in the All Blacks camp, where the legends are speaking out and the future is anything but certain. All sports updates. Would you like me to create a comparison report between the top 3 candidates Sonny Bill Williams might be hinting at for the new captaincy?